And we're back. another episode of Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast.
I never expect it, but it's always good.
And my name is John, and with me as always is my co-host Josh. Josh, how's it going, sir?
It's going quite well, John. There are amazing horror movies going on, and there are amazing horror TV shows going on, and it is just so great to be around them when they happen.
It's horror-tastic.
It is a good time to be a horror fan.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which is why we're going to watch a movie / episode of a horror TV show from 2005.
That's correct. kind of a notorious one, sort of.
The show or this particular one?
This episode.
Oh, I didn't know that it had notoriety.
Less so maybe than the one we were talking about earlier, just because of its craziness. But
yeah, well, it's hard to beat that kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Let's just allude and not say.
Yes. Good night.
Bye. Today, John, what are we watching today?
Today we are watching, as you had mentioned, from 2005. There was a series of short horror films, each done by some famous horror director. They're called the Masters of Horror. And we're doing season 1, episode 8, I believe it was. It's Cigarette Burns from the director John Carpenter.
Dang, the director John Carpenter.
T.
Yes. Yeah, I went in this expecting something else entirely because I didn't remember what Cigarette Burns were. So I was like, oh, he's going to do like a weird torture movie?
Oh, yes. Well, for us old folk, Cigarette Burns, for people who have grown up in the digital film era, were marks that were actually put on the reel of film on a certain one of the images, so that would tell the projectionist to change reels. So when they saw that, they would know it was time to change reel, and it just looked. It was like a little circle mark up in the corner.
Yeah.
And people called them Cigarette Burns because that's what they looked like.
Yeah, they go by other names too, Q marks and all sorts of things. I actually found an old Reddit thread where people were joking about how no one calls it Cigarette Burns. No professionals in the industry call it Cigarette Burns, but then every single response was someone that like knew someone in the industry that called it by a different name. And so I feel like the fact that Cigarette Burns have been said for such a long time is maybe those people are wrong.
Well, that figures.
Because this movie is significantly about those, and it there's a whole like subliminal messaging plot line that you might recognize from a plot point in a 1973 episode of Columbo called Double Exposure, where a murder was inspired by putting a subliminal image into a movie reel, and it like came with the cigarette burns and everything.
Dang.
And also the 1999 film Fight Club, where they would splice in pornography, and there's even a scene where the dude is like pointing up to the upper right hand corner of the screen where you see a cigarette burn happen.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind. Whoa. Yeah. I remember going to movies and you know, like once I had kind of like I'd always seen those, never really thought about it. And then when I read about what they actually were, it got to the point where I couldn't watch a movie without watching for them. It would become really distracting.
Yeah. I guess because if you figure out how long each reel is, you'd be able to like time it and figure out about when it's going to be there. But I don't know, maybe not. I don't know.
No, you can. I think it's I forget how long it was. It seems like I want to say it was like around 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So like every, you know, and what you would start to realize is a lot of films would be cut around those, so that, you know, that little weird moment where they went from one reel to the other where it wasn't perfectly edited, there'd be like a little flash of black or something like that. They would make sure that something important would happen would be over before they would switch the reels. So you could always kind of sense it coming because it would go with the flow of the story a lot of times.
Oh, that makes a line from this movie make more sense to me because I was confused.
Yeah, it was really weird. It's the kind of thing you don't notice unless you watch as many fucking movies as I did growing up.
Moosies.
Moosies.
Yeah.
This is a good moosie.
I'll just mosey on over.
Mosey on over, Cooter. Cooter live.
Ah, Cooter's back. Yeah, so this movie signals itself as being very theater cinema centric with its name.
Mm-hmm.
And cigarette burns comes into play a lot in this movie in very strange ways, and it is actually a movie about a theater operator searching for a one-of-a-kind, legendarily cursed movie, like the only one of its kind print of a movie that like caused people to be shitty and murder each other or whatever when it was shown one time at Sitges.
Whoa.
Yeah, or however it's pronounced.
Yeah, it was one of the prints was shown once at a movie festival, and everybody went ape shit and basically like turned into some violent riot in the theater.
Yeah.
And after that, all previous planned screenings were canceled at the last minute, and the film dropped into the land of legend, and people have been looking for it forever.
Yes, and the government of Sitges land apparently confiscated the reels and burned them, not knowing that they were a work in progress and one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really cool setup for a movie. It's not at all like The Ring or Sinister or Antrim, but it's fun.
No, it's not at all. Well, I mean, it predates some of that stuff, but
yeah, two of the three it predates.
Yeah,
and it's fine. Horror is iterative, and this is a really cool iteration.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
and it's very much a self-referential thing about film in general, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. The first time I watched this, I was like, what the fuck is this even about? And then I watched it again. I was like, oh, wait, I get it. Okay. I see what you did there.
It's meta.
Yeah. Oh, and it predated the whole like Me Too and the Weinstein brothers controversy and everything. Wow. Good job, John Carpenter.
Yeah. Jeez.
So,
yeah, as always, by the way, guys, we're going to spoil it in case you're not familiar with our format.
Go watch it. It's good. It's part of the whole series of the Masters of Horror. It's produced by Mick Garrick, and he got a whole bunch of his cool horror movie buddies to do an episode each, and this is the John Carpenter one. So
what is it, Garrick? I thought it was Garris.
Is it Garris? I don't know.
I don't know. I know he wrote the screenplay for this, or at least co-wrote it.
Yeah, him and two other folks, not John Carpenter, which is weird. Like, I don't know how much of this is John Carpenter and how much of this is those writer guys.
It seems like they wrote the screenplays for a lot of them, because I was looking at a few of the others in the series, and at least Garris co-wrote a bunch of them. Of course, he directed, I think, one in each of the two. There was only 2 seasons.
There is actually a secret 3rd season, but it was under a different name and on a different station.
Whoa.
Once again, you've blown my mind.
Holy shit.
Must have been really bad if it was a secret.
It was like they
or
like
evil. Maybe it was evil.
Ooh, shit. I doubt it, because these aired on Showtime and the secret 3rd season aired on NBC.
Oh.
So
wow.
Probably less evil.
What a bummer.
It's like, okay, and it's all Saturday Night Live. Great. Okay.
It's Cheers, and next up, Masters of Horror. Great.
Fantastic. Let's see. This movie stars Norman Reedus as Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
He is Norman Reedus, and you don't need me to, list what he's been in. No. It also stars Udo Keir as Bellinger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Udo Keir has, at the time of recording, 269 actor credits on his IMDb page. That's a lot. And his first short film, the first thing that he was in, was a short film called Road to St. Tropez. in which he played, quote, boy in 1966.
Saint-Tropez.
Yeah. Whoa, really?
Yeah, the French resort town.
Whatever. Saint-Tropez. I stand by it.
Tropez. Wow.
I pronounce things like a dad.
That was, hey, y'all want to go to St. Tropez?
Now listen to me pronounce the names of famous athletes.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see. He has been in Charles Maton's Spermula, which we absolutely have to watch at some point because it looks amazing.
Whoa.
He was in Dario Argento's Suspiria. Mm-hmm. He was in a film called Das Futigtbot, as well as Sequest DSV, Ace Ventura Pet Detective, Johnny Mnemonic, Barbed Wire, Shadow of the Vampire, Dogville, Iron Sky, Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, and Rob Zombie's The Lords of Salem.
Yeah, that's true. He was also in the Lars von Trier TV series, The Kingdom.
Oh.
And oh man, is he great in that.
Wow, he's got some major Lars von Trier action, Dogville and The Kingdom.
Yeah. He's insane. He's a lot of fun to watch on screen.
Yeah, he's kind of a you think he's other actors until you know his name and you're like, oh, it's this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's, like you said, 276 credits. The odds are, if you like movies, you've seen this guy many times.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things for a long time. So that's over 55 years of acting. That's a long time to be an actor.
Yeah, he's 143 years old.
Which is why he was perfect for Shadow of the Vampire. They just didn't do makeup.
Fun fact.
This movie also stars features in a scene Gwynyth Walsh as Katja. You might know her better as Chief Examiner Nimira in an episode of Star Trek Voyager, or as Bator in Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and the movie Star Trek Generations. In this movie, she does not have butthead makeup on, so it's fine.
Whoa.
Yeah. And because this is technically an episode of a TV show and not actually just a movie, it is full of actors that are from TV shows. A lot of them were in one or another of the Stargate TV series and later would go on to appear in the CW's Arrowverse shows.
Dang.
So quality, the acting in this movie/episode.
Yeah, it's top notch.
Oh man, Norman Reedus at his utmost.
God. What a dreamboat, though, huh?
Oh yeah, this is really good. Before he looked rugged and just looked kind of like a chubby little boy.
Yeah, I know he's got a little pudgy face.
Yeah, and his hair. Yeah,
the old Reedus hair.
So go watch it. It's pretty good.
It is. It's pretty good. It's high concept.
Yeah. You might have to watch it twice if you're like me. And the first time through, you're like, I'm confused. I don't get it. So come back and we'll spoil the whole thing.
Yep.
And now you've come back. Welcome back. I'm glad that you went and watched that. John, spoil the whole thing.
Oh, so many people dies.
Yeah, a lot of people dies.
There's some weird German voiced, like hairless, muscular leather dude murder. Mm-hmm. There's murders on screen, murders off screen, angel woundings. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of crazy shit going on for 1 hour.
Yeah, it's a lot of crazy shit for 1 hour, and also a strange amount of like elongated stretches of boring nothing happening
for an hour, which is weird.
Yeah,
they somehow managed to pack all that in there. Yeah,
I mean, it is literally a movie in which Norman Reedus's character has a series of meetings with different people at different times in different settings on different continents.
It's basically the Ninth Gate cut in half.
Yes. Yeah, it is not unlike that. I guess that makes Norman Reedus Johnny Depp cut in half.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the only difference is that it was not made by a pedophile starring a wife beater.
Whoa.
And I didn't mean to bring the mood down there.
Damn, now I'm depressed. I don't know who directed it, but I trust that that is true.
Roman Polanski.
Okay. No,
And
it's
Johnny
fine.
Depp.
It's fine. We were just taking photographs in that room. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. That guy.
Yeah. What a great human being. Friend of Bob Clark.
Yeah. Don't hold that against Bob Clark, because he's awesome.
Yes. You're a great man, Bob Clark. Rest in power.
Indeed.
So this movie starts where it kind of sounds like the Unsolved Mystery theme music, and it turns out that this is actually Cody Carpenter's premiere as a composer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's very bing, 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 bing. And the movie opens with Norman Reedus's Kirby pulling up to a fancy house where Udo Keir's Mr. Bellinger is waiting for him.
Mr. Bellend.
Yeah.
No.
The house is full of electric candelabras that look real shitty, and also horror movie posters that look awesome.
It's true.
Yeah. In Bellinger's office, there's a big pair of angel wings mounted to the wall, as is a movie poster for Fin Absolue Du Monde. Kirby decides to comment on the latter and not the former. We learned that this movie only played once at Sitges in 1971 when the audience erupted into violence. The only print was seized by the government and destroyed.
Movie over.
It's like those summaries, like what if this had happened in Star Wars? Bellinger says that the film was not in fact destroyed and that the angel wings behind him are a prop from the film. Quote, "I'm a bit obsessive about Fin Absolue Du Monde."
Whoa.
Yeah, they say the name of the movie a lot and they all say it differently.
Yes, they do, and none of them say it right.
No. Which is why I won't try. Saint Tropez.
Saint Tropez.
In addition to having a similar soundtrack to Unsolved Mysteries, we see that the lighting and cinematography are at about that same level. Everything is dark red, brown, and dim, and the sets look like bad TV leftovers from previous decades.
God, they really do.
It's so bad. Especially the electric candelabras are just really a weird choice.
Yeah, not classy.
For a place that's like a crazy ass horror movie castle, it's just full of like garbage props.
It's going candelabras that he bought at Target for Halloween.
Not even the cool light bulbs that flicker. It's just a regular light bulb.
Just shitty old light bulbs.
Bellinger says he wouldn't call Kirby at such a late hour for something that made a schoolgirl dizzy. He's talking about something with real power. Thus begins this movie's weird relationship with women.
Yeah, no kidding.
It turns out that he was at the Sitges Festival where Fin Absolue Du Monde was shown, but instead of seeing it, he went to see the abominable Dr. Phoebes instead because he wanted to meet Vincent Price, which... probably good. From what we see of this movie, it looks like it kind of sucks.
No, that movie is awesome.
No. I mean, Le Film Absolu du Monde.
Oh, you mean that?
Yeah, that one. That one looks like it sucks. There's like one of the shots that we get is like a skinny rock dude with no shirt and like a studded belt leaning backwards so you can see his cum gutters. That's the kind of movie Le Fin Absolue Du Monde is.
Yeah, it does. It looks really, really fucking bad.
Yeah.
Looks like some terrible like art film project or something for high school.
Yeah, which is sad because this movie spends so much time talking about that movie and then like the parts from it look real bad.
Yeah, it's true.
They could have, I don't know. It's fine. A screening was also announced in 1983, but was then canceled when the building burned to the ground. He gives Kirby all of his research, which is just a thin manila envelope full of some shit that we never see. And he tells him to go find it. I'll pay you. It's quote, "It's out there. My sources are unimpeachable." And then Bellinger takes him to his creepy conservatory, where a weird, tall, pale monster guy with a pair of wing wounds sticking out of his back is chained to a slowly spinning platform.
Yeah, what the fuck? He's like on a lazy Susan.
Yeah, it's like what you would put a really nice car on at a car show, but he's got his angel on it.
But this is like a living scrotum with like wispy hair on it.
Yeah, it's like what if I don't know, the Elephant Man was good at standing.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. At this point, Bellinger throws an ice cube at him like an asshole, and it makes a horrible noise, and then starts talking to it like an asshole using a different voice, and it instructs it to tell Kirby what it knows. It says, "We are bound to the film negative like soul to flesh. We would know if it had been destroyed." So it's kind of like halfway between the Elephant Man and Gollum.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently angels are the ugliest fucking things that have ever existed.
Oh man, just like a 9 head, and
God,
it just will not stop being pale.
so, Jesus Christ, if you die and go to heaven, you have to hang out with these fucking things.
Yeah. He's gonna go meet up with the Elephant Man and Powder Guy.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Wanna watch a movie?
Sorry it took me so long. Someone cut my wings off.
All of this is to say it is like a pretty impressive moment when you walk in there and see it, but then it's one of those situations where whenever you see the monster for long enough, it starts to get less impressive.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah. So yeah, at first glance it's like, ooh, cool monster, and then over the course of the film it's just another character, kind of.
Yeah, it's been pretty impotent character.
Yeah. He likes to pet balding men's hair. That we will find out.
Yeah.
Bellinger says he knows he will go to hell, but he wants to at least taste heaven first. And for him, watching La Fin Absolue Du Monde is that taste of heaven. He says he'll pay Kirby's expenses plus $100,000 and give him the film so he can run it exclusively for 2 weeks at his theater. Kirby is like, $200,000. And the guy's like, oh, okay, fine, dude. You probably could have asked for more.
I know. He could have asked for his entire fortune, really, because the guy that plans on dying.
Yeah.
He said he's not healthy, and he's on his way out and all this shit.
Yeah, and literally the only person that we see this guy talk to ever is Kirby, his creepy angel, and his Asian butler.
Fung.
Yeah. Fung. Is that
Fung.
really his name?
That's the butler's name.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's okay. Nothing happens with a weird Asian style sword later on.
Yeah, and there's nothing racist about Fung.
No, nothing at all.
I here waiting for you in the foyer. It's like, Jesus Christ, really? Where are we going with this?
Is this part of the criticism of the movie industry?
God, Jesus, why is this necessary?
So that ends that part of the movie. Kirby goes back to his theater called Vogue, which, wink wink, nudge nudge, Vogue. Okay. We see some dude cutting a single frame, which I accidentally spelled fingle frame, out of a reel of Dario Argento's Profondo Rosso.
Yeah, Giallo.
Yeah, there it is. Kirby, at his desk, is thinking about a woman in a picture that he's looking at, and we flash back to her singing his name. It's Kirby Sweetman, Are You My Sweet Man? And it is real cringy.
Yeah, I'd have broken up with her right there.
Yeah, I did not like it. And in fact, apparently he didn't like it so much that we then see him injecting drugs into her arm.
Yeah.
Lovingly, like he's got his arms wrapped around her. She's like cooing against his chest as he shoots her up with heroin or whatever.
Nothing says love like heroin or whatever.
Yeah. Nothing says love like, I guess she doesn't know how to do it herself.
Yeah.
Then we see Kirby talking to the dude from before that had been cutting a frame out of the reel. We find out that the dude cuts out the cigarette burns from movies, and this one he had to get because it's an Argento film.
Yeah.
He talks about all of the stuff about how, you know, they tell you, like, whenever he's like, when you see that bug and you know something's about to happen, and if you take it out, it's anarchy. That I completely didn't get until you mentioned that it, like, that's how they edited the film, is to make sure that that thing happens before the switch over.
Yeah. I mean, the anarchy thing doesn't make any sense unless when he takes the reels back down and sends them to the next theater, the guy has no fucking clue when to change the reels. I guess that's what he means by anarchy.
I guess. But
which is really just a dick move more than anything.
Yeah. He's basically semi ruining a reel of a classic film.
Check it out. I've got a binder full of cigarette burns.
He does. It's like the little 3-ring binder that you use for baseball cards, but he has all of these movies that he's ruined. What a piece of shit. What a great character, I guess, if you're trying to criticize a very specific part of the film industry.
I know. What an easy character to have murdered. He's still alive.
This is definitely one of the ones that should die.
Yeah.
I guess he survives because there's not a vagina nearby him.
Yes, exactly.
He remembers himself and his girlfriend being really strung out and them asking her dad to buy them this movie theater. And we see that it's a loan, not a gift. And the dad says to him, "Don't make me sorry." And then we get a flash of her in a bathtub with blood squirting out of her wrist wounds.
Yeah. He's made her sorry, or made him sorry.
Yeah. Good job. Good job, Kirby. And then back in the present, her dad shows up wanting his 200,000 exact dollars back. I guess that was the loan that he gave Kirby to buy this movie theater for his drug addict daughter.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
The decision making in this little triad of people does not make any sense.
No, not a bright bunch, this group.
Yeah, this is the storyline that's going on, like the personal story alongside the Monde story. And this is the scene where Norman Reedus's acting is real bad whenever he's talking to this dad dude. He's like, "No, being around you is so good."
Yeah, how the hell did this guy get a career out of this?
I don't know, because it is real bad. It is obvious that he's like reading a cue card behind the dude's back and just reading the line more than delivering it. It's not good.
We're totally gonna pay you back.
Yeah. And the dad is very excited by the prospect of him not getting his money back because he has a gun, and he's apparently looking forward to coming back here and tearing the theater down.
With his gun.
Yeah, with his gun. He's going to shoot it down.
He's going to murder people and tear a theater down with a pistol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. So we find out that first Kirby is going to go to some movie critic's house in upstate New York in his journey to find the Fin Absolue.
Yeah, a film critic whose last name is Myers. Michael Myers, get it?
Is that really what's going on there?
Yes, it was a little nod to Michael Myers.
Great.
I know. Superb.
Love it when they do that.
Love it when they do that. Don't care.
No one cares. Let's see. He goes to the house. It's a house. The guy doesn't want to talk until Kirby finally mentions that he's there to talk about La Fin Absolue Du Monde. And the movie critic buzzes him into his farmhouse.
Buzzes him into his shithole farmhouse.
Yeah. Inside, we see that he's some sort of like crazy hoarder. He has stacks and stacks of thousands of pages of like regular printer paper, not newspapers, but regular printer paper, bound in a variety of ways, also with just loose sheets all over the place. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's like a Neil Stevenson manuscript.
Whoa, I don't know what that means. Well, moving on.
I'm just gonna leave that right there.
Yeah, that's for the special fans.
Yeah.
And the reason that he buzzed him in is that he's too busy typing to stop typing. He's just will not stop typing. He has a whole long speech, and this is going to be one of the very many speeches in this movie.
It is so speechy.
He says, quote, "We trust filmmakers. We sit in the dark, daring them to affect us, secure in the knowledge that they won't go too far." He says the director of La Fin Absolue Du Monde, Hans Bakovic, was a terrorist that abused the trust we put in filmmakers. He says, if anything, the violence at the movie theater was downplayed. He watched 4 people die. It smelled like a slaughterhouse. Fantastic.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah. He said that Bakovic told him what was going to happen beforehand and that it was all on purpose. They sat down to an interview before the film was shown, and he recorded the whole interview on a shitty little sound recording device.
Yeah, apparently the recording was made in 1940.
Yeah.
Even though it was just a few years prior.
Yeah, it's a wax etching.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We find out that all of these stacks of paper are his new review of the film because his original review sucked and didn't capture it. So all of these thousands upon thousands of pages are his new review, and he says he's almost finished now. Yay.
Yeah.
He gives Kirby the tape of his interview and tells him that if he manages to find it, he hopes to see it again. Quote, "I've dreamed about it every night for 30 years. And scene.
Yeah, that was quality.
Yeah, just the first of many interview/meetings that really feel like they don't do very much. All of this was just to build up more of the mythological hype of the movie, and also now Kirby has the tape of the interview, which doesn't really matter.
Not a lot.
Yeah, it's not great. On the interview, we hear Bakovic say, "Narrative is dead, Hollywood is shit, film is not entertainment." Then Kirby sees a fiery ring appear in the middle of the screen, and it scares the shit out of him. Like some kind of cigarette burn. Ooh. But in the middle of the screen instead of off to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he sees it, and we see it.
We see it too. Yeah. Because
It's-
we're infected too.
Oh shit, we're getting closer to it. He sees the shadow of a woman in the bathroom and hears them get into a bathtub, opens the door and sees his blood-squirting girlfriend dead, and then her face appears in a cigarette burn in the middle of the screen, and she's screaming.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Ooh. He then gets a wake-up call, Bonjour, monsieur sweet man. And it's apparently he's in France now. Maybe that was a little thing at the bottom that I missed. I don't know, but he's in France now.
No, there's a stock. There's a. Is that right before they show the stock shot of Paris?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and we are in Paris. Don't ignore the fact it is so grainy. And
Oh.
clearly, we got it off the internet or something.
Yes. Baguette. Now he's pacing around in some French dude's office like an asshole, and I guess it's at like some sort of film archival place because they talk about how they're reorganizing the archives.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Sitches? Is this like the office of Sitches?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. It looked like it was like the National French Film Archive or some bullshit.
Yeah, it's strange yeah. Anyway, the guy's name is Henri, and he tells him that he's looking for La Fin Absolue Du Monde. And the guy Henri calls Kirby a foof. And Kirby's like, I may not know much French, but I know when you're making fun of me. And then they continue to have an entirely meaningless and time-wasting conversation that doesn't add anything to the storyline.
Pretty much, yeah.
He finds a list of all of the crew for the movie, and we see that everyone is dead except the director, Hans Bakovic, and the cinematographer, Patton League. This will turn out to not matter.
Yeah. Yeah, he just talks about how the guy got all fucked up during the making of the movie, and then we never hear about him again. Maybe go visit him.
Well, you see, the last person that visited him had to get stitches.
Well, snitches get stitches.
At Sitches.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah. Henri says that Bakovic is also dead. So apparently that list is just out of date. And after Kirby pretends to leave, he calls someone and says on the phone in French, La Fin Absolue Du Monde. And then later, Kirby comes back. We have a scene cut, and now Kirby is back later when it's darker for some reason.
He's left for hours and then came back to finish his thought.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe like when they made the movie, he went and visited Patton League and then came back and was like, "You're a piece of shit," but then they just had to cut that part out.
And maybe because and then he had to go to the doctor and get stitches.
Where did you get these wounds? At Stitches. Kirby, he comes back. He tells the dude that he's been seeing the circles. The dude Henri says it's only going to get worse from here. And apparently, people see cigarette burns when they look for the film, and they get worse as the person gets closer to it. We find out that Henri was the projectionist at a private screening in 1988. But once he started the film, he lost his nerve and looked away from the screen. And then people started screaming. And once he smelled blood, he decided to try to stop the movie. But then he blacked out and woke up, and his hand is all melty now.
Yeah, his hand's all fused into like a mannequin hand.
Yeah, it looked really dumb.
Yeah. Now I woke up with a dumb hand.
Now the masturbating is not as easy.
It is more like a slapping.
I like to slap my fap. And then he gives him the business card to some asshole and says, this dude's dangerous. Don't call him. Here you go. Here's his phone number.
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy anyway?
I don't know. He's like some guy.
Here you go. Don't call this guy.
And apparently they have like a working relationship, Henri and Kirby do, because like Henri's okay with him pacing around in front of his desk looking at papers. It's like, what are you looking for this time?
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's not nice. And this is the halfway point of this film.
God, is it really?
It is. To this point, nothing has happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Then we see Kirby takes a taxi to some creepy warehouse. He pays the taxi driver extra if they will just stick around until he gets back, because he doesn't want to be left alone at this creepy warehouse where two goons are waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
The goons escort him to a creepy dude, and Kirby sees a box that says La Film Absolue, and he says, "It's not for me, it's for a client," out of nowhere, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't really matter who it's for.
It really doesn't, because that's not what this guy cares about, it turns out.
No.
Get ready for the least comfortable part of the movie.
Jesus.
Creepy dude is like, "You've had your first glimpses?" And he he says that he has a phone number that he calls to get in touch with the Bakovic estate. They give him cool things, like I guess this box full of stuff or whatever. And then as Kirby's like going through the stuff, he's like, I've always wanted to make my own films, but I detest the falseness of Hollywood. I would rather die than make something false. Inside the crate labeled La Fin Absolue Du Monde, we see that there are photos, possibly still shots from the movie. We see a photo of the angel dude, but his wings are still attached, and there are children running around him. And then we see like a profile of someone in the shadows carrying a curved kukri blade. And there's also one really cool shot of like someone running down a street around trees, and the sky looks like blood and pulpy flesh. Yeah, that one was cool.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah. Then the goons grab Kirby, and creepy dude tranquilizes him.
Yeah, and then it gets good.
Oh man, then it gets real good. Kirby comes to, and he has been lightly duct taped to a chair. The goons are tag team, tandem working a very small camera. There are spotlights all over the place. We see that the taxi driver has been vaguely duct taped to a chair across from Kirby, and creepy dude shows up. He's now shirtless, and he is wearing a leather Zorro mask.
It's like, oh, man.
Yeah. Here it comes. He is carrying a machete, and he approaches the taxi driver from behind. He chops into the taxi driver's neck. She has been conscious and not made a single sound this entire time. He then pushes her head to the side so the wound he created will gape wider and allow the blood to squirt out more hosily.
Yeah, she apparently had very, very high blood pressure.
Yeah. Probably a good, like, this is saving her a lot of medical bills from like hypertension medicine and stuff.
Yeah, it was very sweet of him.
Yeah. And yeah, she at no point complains or has a line.
No, it's not her death. Not relevant.
Not really relevant to this dude.
Nope.
And all throughout this whole scene, he is relating the blade to editing a film, and how the way that you edit a film will either tell you a lie or tell the truth. He then starts chopping away a little bit more energetically until he fully decapitates the body and then carries her head around by the hair. And he says, quote, "One take, one uninterrupted shot. The only cut was to her. I turned her into art. Something happens when you point the camera at something terrible. The resulting film takes on power." And then he takes off the small strip of duct tape that is preventing Kirby from speaking. And Kirby immediately goes into his own speech, and not like, hey, let's not kill me too. He says, no, it doesn't. Cinema isn't powerful. It doesn't reveal some hidden truth. It's just fucking murder.
Yeah, I love that they're having a murder conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the midst of a murder, they're just chit-chatting away.
It's very artistic.
It's like, oh, thank you for removing this because I just wanted to say.
Yeah, I would like to refute that claim.
God, and also I would also like to point out that if I was Mick Garris and I wrote that dialogue and then I actually thought that I would turn that in as completed dialogue, I would deserve to be murdered. Because that is fucking terrible dialogue.
It's pretty bad. I think it is all supposed to be very symbolic, but it sucks. And yeah,
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I didn't really like anything about the scene at all.
I'm not a big Mick Garris fan. I'm trying to remember the movies he's made. He's one of those guys I've like, oh, I don't know this guy. And then I look him up and I'm like, oh, that's why, because his movies are shit.
Oh, God. Shots fired. Yeah, I mostly know him from like documentaries about horror movies and like not watching his horror movies. I don't even know what he does except this.
Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah. Creepy dude then climbs into Kirby's lap and
Mm-hmm.
starts grinding and humping away while talking. And we see that he has this tattoo that runs from one wrist across his back to the other wrist. And it's just a length of film with the little like scene lines and everything. And he says that Bakovic was an excellent editor and that the movie works subliminally, but the power was from spilled blood. He says, quote, "What if you got hold of an angel and sacrificed it on camera?" And then Kirby starts seeing cigarette burns while the creepy dude keeps talking about nonsense. And then a big cigarette burn flashes across the screen, and suddenly Kirby isn't tied up. He's got the machete now, and the goons are dead, and the camera and lighting is all trashed, and the lady's body is gone, and creepy dude's neck is cut open. And so Kirby reaches down and grabs him by the neck wound and starts punching him in the face. Tell me where the film is. And the dude just says, "Gotcha," before he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah. Him grabbing him by the neck wound could have looked cool, but we didn't see the neck wound until afterwards, and it's just a really bad piece of makeup.
Yeah, it was a lost opportunity.
Yeah, the implication is that he like reaches his hand into the neck wound and grabs him by the inside of his neck guts, but we don't really get to see that, which, you know, TV budget.
Yeah.
They blew it all on chopping that nice lady's head off.
They really did. It was a pretty decent effect there.
It was. It's also very, very uncomfortable to watch.
It is. It's extremely misogynistic. This whole film is.
Yeah, and I do think it's the point. Like, I don't think that the film. I don't know. We'll get to it.
By the way, if I just have a quick aside here.
Yes. Are you going to talk about Mick Gare, whatever?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Mick Garris. Mick Garris made Sleepwalkers, Critters 2. You know, he had a big involvement with the Masters of Horror stuff, wrote most of the scripts and directed a couple of the films. Probably his best work. He did Riding the Bullet, Psycho 4.
Okay.
4. He basically just made a bunch of shit. And then I'm saving the best to last. He made the version of The Shining, the TV made for TV one in 97. That is right up there with my top 5 worst things I've ever seen in my life.
But that one's supposed to be more faithful to the book, John.
Yeah, it is extremely faithful to the book which is fucking boring, and and that TV series sucks balls. It's like, the one thing that isn't faithful to the book, there aren't neon colored lights everywhere in the book. For some reason, he thought it would be cool to light everything in like purple and green neon, and then have that fucking dickhead from Wings on the show, who is like supposed to be scary.
It's the preferred version of Stephen King fans, John.
Well, you have to look at it like this. Stephen King is clearly in love with himself.
Oh, yeah.
And so when he saw, he saw Kubrick's version of The Shining, his reaction was, this isn't anything like this amazing masterpiece that I wrote.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he want to, make it more like this amazing book that I wrote? And the reason is because that book's a piece of shit. It has a great idea, but it's fucking terrible. That's one of the few books I couldn't finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to, and I just couldn't. There's other books that I'm just like, I start them and I'm like, fuck, this book's terrible, and I don't go any further. But I read like 3/4 of this fucking thing. It had like, I think it's 40,000 pages, and and I got to about 2/3, 3/4 of the way in, and just said, you know what, I don't fucking care anymore, and I stopped reading it.
That is, oh man, we're gonna alienate ourselves to Stephen King horror fans. That is how I do with any time I've ever picked up a Stephen King book.
The only Stephen King book I've read that I really liked. Oh, actually, I read Misery because I was on vacation somewhere, and they had a shelf of books in that. It was a cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And
nice.
they had a shelf of books, and it was like a bunch of romance novels and shit. And the only book that was interesting to me was Misery, and I read it, and it was actually fun.
Oh.
You have to kind of look at the environment I was in. It was kind of like trapped. Like it was the only book I had to read, but it was pretty good. I tried to read The Stand, no dice.
No.
Carrie was okay, blah blah blah, and the only book I liked that really liked that he wrote was On Writing, the one about writing.
Oh yeah, the one where he talks about having to push a lot.
Yeah, he talks about the process of writing and the mechanics and his career, how he got started and stuff. It's actually really interesting. It's a good book.
Yeah, you know what'll really ruin that book for you, John?
What's that?
Listen to the audiobook version that he reads.
Oh God.
Now, I want to tell you the story now about when I wrote Carrie.
Because he thinks that line about having to push is hilarious.
Yeah, Stephen King's a jackweed.
Yeah, he seems like a cool enough dude on Twitter. It's just, yeah, that is actually, On Writing is the only one of his books that I've read all the way through.
I do. I'm being a jackass. I mean, I do like Stephen King. I think that he's got, the fact that he's able to write so much, I think is really cool.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing that anybody's able to come up with stuff. And the fact that his books, some of his books are, granted, a lot of people find them convoluted. Probably I would too, because I don't even want to read them. They sound so convoluted, but putting that much shit in a book's pretty interesting, I guess, for a lot of people. It's pretty creative. And he has come up with some great ideas. And so he's come up with some great stories. But man, Jerusalem's Lot is a great book, actually.
Salem's Lot. Is it Jerusalem's Lot? Is that the name of the book?
Jerusalem's Lot is kind of like a prequel about like they just made a TV movie adaptation of it for one of the cable channels.
Oh, cool.
Starring what's his nuts, that actor with the big nose.
Okay.
It was in the piano, or the piano playing whatever. I'm going to stop talking about Stephen King.
Dean Koontz, everyone.
By way of Mick Garris. By the way, and one last thing about Mick Garris.
Do it.
Cut your fucking hair, bro.
You dirty hippie, get a job.
As long as I'm acting like alienating 90% of the two people that listen to our show.
Yeah. Kenny G's horrible brother, Mick Garris.
Yeah, Mick Garris. Go fuck yourself.
Mick Garrick. My boss was just telling me she went on vacation to the hotel that The Shining was based on.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of a former coworker of ours.
Oh. Oh my.
Yeah, the one that went to the real one, the actual hotel one, the one that's in Washington or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh dear God.
Something about a soundtrack, I don't remember.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so Kirby decides that he's going to now go visit Katja. From that single word / name, he knows the address. It is in Vancouver, and it is at a high rise. We see that it is Miss Bakovic, which I guess, does that make sense? Is that how Miss and Mrs. works?
Well, I thought she was his... At first, I thought she was his daughter.
Nay.
Then I realized she was probably his wife, right?
Yay.
Yeah, I don't know why she would be Miss, because he died, so she's Miss. No, she would still remain Mrs., wouldn't she?
I feel like if she kept the last... I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
But I don't know how it works. I only recently found out that part of the weird marriage thing is that sometimes women give up their middle name and their middle name becomes their maiden name.
Really?
Yeah.
What is that about?
I don't know. I don't understand our own society.
People are weird.
Yes. And so he goes inside the high rise, he gets in an elevator, and everything on the elevator malfunctions, and he hallucinates his girlfriend, and she does the, "Are you my sweet man, Kirby?" And then he says the only sensible thing that one can say in that situation. He says, "You're not real."
Well played.
Yeah, good job. The one good line in this whole movie. He gets off the elevator and into Katja's super fancy apartment, which she calls a house. And she congratulates him because apparently he's the first one to make it this far. And she even is like, "Did you see something you didn't like on the elevator? Well, you're a brave man." We find out that the Bakovics moved to Vancouver because Hans thought it would be cheaper to make movies there. I guess that is like a wink at something about the film industry.
Yeah, I mean that yeah, and it was, of course, that episode was shot in Vancouver
Well, hey, that's good because
for that very reason.
Yeah, normally what happens is they shoot it in Vancouver and then say it's somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun fact, that was actually shot in Vancouver.
Yeah, that theater was actually in Vancouver too, apparently.
The Vogue.
Yeah, the Vogue.
Yeah, very nice. She says that all the stories about the film are true, each and every one. Quote, "La Fin Absolue Du Monde is no ordinary film."
Yeah, like, oh, really? We didn't know that.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten it at this point. And then Kirby says, quote, "I don't want to see an ordinary film. I want to see something extraordinary." Okay.
What a jerkweed.
Yeah. She says that Han said she asked about who produced the film. He said the producers of the film produced many other things, such as chaos, sorrow, suffering, and famine. Kirby says, "What does that mean? The devil?" She says that he would tell her, "Evil is evil. What does a name really matter?" Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
I'll take that as you don't know the answer.
All right. So producers. Okay. We got them too. Check. Editors, terrible people. Check. Producers. Yep. Oh, theater operators. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. We find out that in the last year of his life, Han spent all of his time watching the movie, and it was too effective, and it got inside of him. And then he, one night, decided to kill himself and her, but only managed to kill himself and maim her. We see what I guess is supposed to be a scar on her neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes Katja the only female character in this movie to not be maimed on screen, but rather just be maimed off screen.
Yeah. We're watching this movie mature right before our very eyes.
It's growing up so fast. She says that she hates the film and understands its power. She wishes it had never been made and asks, quote, "Do you know what it's like to want to do penance for something, but knowing it's too late?" Flash to him finding his girlfriend dead in a tub full of blood. And then she gives him the reels for the movie.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that was a tough little trial by fire there.
Yeah, he explains that he's been seeing the cigarette birds, and she was like, "You're marked," and that's how important the movie is. And she lets him take the films away, and she says it's already too late.
It's already too late. And he says, "I'm Audi 5000.
Yeah. Peace! What a weird interaction. She was much better as a Klingon.
Butt-faced Klingon.
Yep. Like someone sat on their forehead. He leaves and he brings the film to Bellinger, who gets real, heavy breathing and touchy with the reels. Kirby drives away while Bellinger is putting the reels into the projector and gets himself a front row seat in his private theater and pours himself a champagne. He's going to have himself a nice little viewing. Very cool. Really feels like a cigar should go here, but, whatever.
That's all right.
Yeah. Cigar burns? No.
No.
He watches it, and we get flashes of the movie, and it's, the super unimpressive thing that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turns out it's a 9 Inch Nails video.
Yes, it does. It looks exactly like that. Yeah, we see Anthony Kiedis's cum gutters and belt collection.
Whoa.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Kirby makes it back to the Vogue, and there are chains on the doors, and the girl's dad is watching him whine about it from his car, and Kirby gets a call from Bellinger and says he's coming right now. We see him drive away. We see that he's being followed by Kirby's dad in a different car. He gets there, and Bellinger's butler is now shirtless and covered in dozens of cuts. And he's carrying a little shitty letter opener that's supposed to look like a cool Chinese sword, but does not.
I mean, and it's speech time.
Yeah. He says, "I know what you want. You want to see the movie. I hope you get what you want, what you deserve." And then he stabs himself in the eye all the way down to the hilt, screaming. We watch him pull the letter opener out, and then he goes in for the other eye, and slowly his screaming turns into laughter while he digs it around in his eye socket.
His eye socket, which is apparently goes all the way to the back of his skull.
Yeah, he's going for a deep brain flossing. It's pretty good look. It's actually other than the shitty sword, it's pretty cool.
True.
Yeah, it's very gratifying whenever he pulls it out, and then he's like, "And now for the other eye."
And we're just halfway there.
Not done yet, folks. Kirby makes it into the theater as the credits are rolling. Whew, close. He goes into the projector room where Bellinger is making a variety of diarrhea noises. Bellinger says everything is all right as he sets down a bloody straight razor. Quote, "You don't make as much money as I have without burying a few bodies." I don't know why I did that accent. And Kirby says, "Did you watch Fin Absolue Du Monde?" And he says, "Yes, I highly recommend it. It's not a movie, however. It's a preview of the coming attractions of the soul."
God. Fucking. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "In my case, it's a hell of an ending." Great. What a great line. He says that he called because he wanted Kirby to find another movie for him, which does not make sense because the credits are still rolling and just plain does not make sense.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, but he doesn't need that other movie anymore because he's been inspired to make his own movie. And then we see him squishily pull out his own intestines and feed them into the projector, yoinking them out as he goes so that it won't tug on it. And so now the projector is displaying a movie of what light blown through his intestines looks like.
Yes. It's starring Bellinger's dinner.
Yeah. It looks really fake, but is also kind of awesome and badass.
Yeah, exactly.
The dad shows up. And now he's got his gun out again, and he's mad about things. And he says a bunch of stuff about how he's been waiting outside of the theater in a car, and how he never expected to get to that part in his life. Quote, "I didn't want to throw my life away, but now who's gonna notice if I, kill you around all of this stuff?"
Yeah. Okay.
Kirby sees a cigarette burn that eclipses the screen, and he comes to, and time has elapsed, apparently. He's now sitting in the theater in one of the seats, and he's covered in blood while La Fin Absolue Du Monde is playing. And we get to see that bloody sky thing, which, isn't the worst, but otherwise this movie looks like the worst. The dad is also watching La Fin Absolue Du Monde, and we see someone cutting off the angel's wings while a woman is covered in barbed wire in a cell. Great.
Just an excuse to show more boobs.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie has a weird relationship with female nudity too.
Yeah.
Outside, we see the now eyeballless butler bring the angel the key so it can unlock itself, and the angel reaches down and pets him on the ring of hair around the bald top of his head. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the movie theater, one of the fiery cigarette burns opens in the middle of the screen, and Kirby's naked and blood-drenched girlfriend walks out. We switch from the screen's perspective, and there's a close-up shot of her naked, blood-covered ass as she walks forward.
Yep.
She says, "Daddy," and he says, "Daddy's here. I'm so cold." And they hug, and then she says, "I'm hungry." And then she eats him.
Yeah. This is stupid.
But then it turns out it's just a hallucination, folks. Great.
Yeah.
So Kirby goes and stands directly in front of the dad's face and says, "I see now. I understand. If we both can't let her go, it's like we're killing her over and over again." And then he crushes the dad's skull into the floor.
Yeah, that made no sense.
It didn't make any sense. But then again, I don't think that watching the movie is supposed to make people die in a sensible manner.
Yeah, I guess he saw the movie and went crazy or something.
Yep. He says, "I love you, I'm sorry," and then kills himself. And then we see the angel has gathered up the reels of film. He walks past dead Kirby and says, "Thank you for this." And Fin.
La fin de film.
Du Monde? And that's the movie / episode, folks.
Yeah, that's a movie.
Wow.
Episode.
Yeah.
It's something.
It is really something. Like, I don't know. I guess I like the fact that it's like criticizing all of the different elements of the movie industry, but I maybe am just not like so far removed from being an industry insider that I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean that part. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. I think my problem is like there's a couple of them, but one of the biggest
just
problems.
one.
I know. The visual style is terrible.
It looks like shit.
The lighting, it just has that 90s look, even though it's mid 2000s.
Yeah. It looks like I don't know, someone ran it through a ass.
Yeah, and the screenplay's fucking terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of it is that this isn't supposed to be normal human interaction dialogue, that it's all supposed to be like heavily artistried, and I think part of that is that the movie is being critical of artistry in some ways.
I mean, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's just executed pretty badly.
Yeah, I didn't like. Yeah.
Like the most daunting part of the movie is when he's in that weird like rough trade S&M Zorro scene. That was much more daunting than whatever the fuck happened in the theater at the end.
Yeah.
Well, sort of. I mean, running your guts through a film, a movie projector is kind of cool.
Yeah, that was badass. I liked that. It looked like shit. You know, it was obvious that he was pulling guts out of a trash can that was wearing pants, but it was still pretty cool. But the hack and the head off scene, while done very well, like really, really good practical effects and everything, it also just like isn't the type of thing that I enjoy watching.
No, and I didn't understand the point of it either, really.
Yeah, I
kind of do. I guess he's just, I don't know. I don't, I guess.
I think I think that was him being critical of like torture porn.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then also he tied it in, I guess this is not really John Carpenter's point as much as it is other people's, but it was like tying that in with like editors thinking that they are like God.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to see. Yeah, it's like how much of this was some sort of inside wink and nod at the industry.
Yeah.
Which is something that no one else gives a shit about.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know. On first viewing it, that scene of them cutting the woman's head off made me so uncomfortable that I started doing like some research that doing this podcast has led me to. Like, I've struggled with like what is and is not okay to do artistically. Like, what value does censorship serve, if
Mhm.
it does serve one, like where lines are. I don't know the answers, but this made me dig into it, and one of the things that I dug into was Serbian film.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the plot of that movie or anything, and I read up on it. And one of the things that I read about was like the director, and they had like quotes from the director about what the movie was about and why the
Mhm.
movie was important. And the
Mhm.
types of things that he said were like almost exactly the things that this fucking machete Zorro says. And this movie predates that by several years.
Wow, that's
But,
crazy.
yeah, I was like, oh wow, okay. I guess that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, I mean, this movie's like, it's criticizing, I guess it's definitely criticizing the industry, you know, like producers, editors, I guess theater operators, maybe even criticizing projectionists and archive people.
Yeah, and maybe it's just kind of a tongue-in-cheek, like taking the piss kind of thing.
Oh, that would make more sense.
You know, like it's kind of a piss take, but it's also a critique of the industry.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because I don't know. You know, I don't know where Mick Garris's head is at, but at the hair salon apparently.
Oh, getting
Zing!
it rinsed out.
Hey yo!
I do so much to it, but it just drops, you know?
I mean, it was, you know, it's a cool idea. It's an idea that's been covered in several films, as you had mentioned, like Antrim, and what was the other one you had mentioned?
Sinister and The
Hmm.
Ring.
Yeah, you know, and this idea of having, you know, like this piece of cursed film or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an interesting idea, and it's been kind of explored to varying degrees of quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a really interesting take on it. You know, like
It is.
the others, each one does its own thing, and this one's thing is pretty neat. It's just way more TV quality than the others.
Yeah, it's got a lot. You know, it's got a lot of cool ideas. I mean, the idea of the angel, but you know, with an hour, you don't have time. Like, how did he capture it? You know, where? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to kind of get into there that they just don't have the time to cover.
Yeah, and I think that I guess that's also like one of the things they're criticizing is like nutty, wealthy movie collector people.
Yeah, how ruthless they are.
Yeah, and like what is sacrificed in the sake of creating movie art. I mean, that's one of the things, you know, the angel is literally mutilated for the sake of art, and every single woman in this movie is either is abused, murdered, maimed, or driven to suicide, and all of it is for the benefit of the male artists around them.
That's true.
So,
Because I had been thinking that maybe all that, you know, I mean, as is often the case, all that violence towards women was just it's just violence towards women. It's just like commonplace in you know, American culture. But no, I think you're right. I think there was probably more of a commentary on it.
possibly. I mean, it's really hard to say, especially with horror cinema. Like, it's really hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, well, no, you have to understand that when he cut her head off, I meant it in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Cool.
We weren't objectifying her naked body because she was covered in blood, you see.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
So, yeah, it's a questionable one. I mean, it's mostly, most of the scenes are kind of enjoyable to watch. I'm glad to have seen it. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed thinking about it. It's really rough to do research on this because there's not a whole lot of information out there about it.
No, there really isn't. Surprisingly, it wasn't made that long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a while ago, but you know, it 2000s anyway.
Yeah, but it's kind of in that like movie making dark ages where it's like right before the recession, and like right at the beginnings of the internet, where like a lot of stuff has been lost and it's still not old enough to really be considered like a classic, so people haven't done historical diving or anything.
And the quality of horror films has taken a global revival since that time period.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, horror is in a little golden age here, I think.
Yeah, I agree. There's really great stuff coming out all the time.
There's just shit that I think people are going to be talking about for a long time.
Yeah, I just rewatched Saint Maud last night.
Yeah, it's held up.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. I have like cravings for that movie.
It's a beautiful film. I mean, it's we should cover it.
We should. I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about it yet.
No, we don't have to do it. Yeah, but at some point we should cover it.
I completely agree. But John, what about this movie? Say if you had to rate this film / episode of a TV series on a scale of 0 to 5 loathsome things, how many loathsome things would you give it?
I give it a 2.5.
Damn.
Why is that what you did too?
Yeah.
It's so weird. I think it's because we just kind of see a lot of this stuff in a similar way.
I think so.
I think as time goes on, we're going to find some movies where we have different opinions that are just for whatever reasons. But things like this, I think we both kind of see it roughly the same way.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we'll give our reasons and see how they match up. But I gave it a 2.5 because a 3 says I'm completely on board as far as recommending it. Less than 3 means I could still recommend it with caveats.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely put this movie in that camp. I do recommend it, particularly if you're, say, a Carpenter fan or a Garris fan or just a horror fan in general. It probably is something you've already seen if you're any of those people.
Yeah.
But if not, you should definitely watch it. Beyond that, if you're just a person that likes to watch entertaining shows and stuff, it's probably not going to be something you enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a little too genre-y for the average person. It's really made for a horror fan almost exclusively. Yeah. I mean, it's okay, but what'd you think?
I mean, yeah, it's I feel like it's a cool iteration on the idea of the cursed movie. I liked the presentation of that. I liked the basic ideas of it. I thought that when the movie was firing on all cylinders, it like hit really good notes, even with like, there were some obvious budget constraints there, but that's okay. I don't hold budget against a movie.
Right.
And so I thought it was really good. It did a lot with what it had, but it also feels like a 40-minute episode that was stretched out to an hour. Yeah. And it was a little bit, I guess it's like, how whenever you like take your first 2 classes in a artistic topic in college and you feel like you know a whole lot about it and it's so good and you're like an expert on it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's that kind of heady, like someone that just finished film studies too, and they're like, oh man, I'm gonna really nail it to the wall with this. and then it's just, of course, like derivative and kind of cringy. It falls somewhere in there. It's definitely good. It's, like you said, for Carpenter fans, but also really good if you're the type of person that enjoys horror anthologies. Like this is one of the like gold nuggets for horror anthology people. If you're like researching things or just love a good short horror thing. It's just kind of all over the place. It's sometimes boring. I guess it's also good if you're a big Norman Reedus fan. You can see where
load up the spank bank, I guess. And,
Yep.
It's yeah. I mean, the whole series is that way. Obviously, it's each episode probably had a comparable budget, and they're all going to have those similar production values. But you've got good people in there. You've got good talented people, because John Landis is one of them.
Oh.
He's a bad person. So
Oh.
John Landis, McGarris, Joe Dante, of course Carpenter,
Got
Lucky
Andy
McKee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy McKee, God damn it. I can't do anything.
Andy McDowell,
Yeah.
Takeshi Miike,
Yeah.
and others. And by the way, the Takeshi Miike one is fucking phenomenal. It's so strange. It's very Takeshi Miike in that it's very transgressive and strange, but also very unique, and only something that only he can pull off. That story is a good example of taking, a limited budget and kind of having the freedom to just do something crazy, which, isn't a problem for him, and just doing whatever the hell he wants with it, because it's just an episode in an anthology series. So why not? And that's what he does. And it's totally effective. Excellent. I don't think Showtime aired it because it was too intense.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I think so. But it's great.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. When I think about it, it always reminds me of the short from the I think it's the ABCs of Horror, where the guys go to that place with the torture. It's like the torture sex show thing. Which
is that? I think that's 3 Extremes, right?
Oh, is it in 3 Extremes? Is that what it was?
I think so. Because you're talking about the ABCs of Death, which like each one is like 6 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's too short. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the one where like the guy has to masturbate or die.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that one.
Fucking amazing.
It's not. That's not this, obviously, the conceit in this one, but it's but it kind of reminds me.
Masturbate or die movie.
That's a whole subgenre.
It's a whole one.
Hey, check it out. I've been thinking about making a Masturbate or Die movie.
Dude, I just got the newest one, Masturbate or Die 6.
Masturbate or Die.
Slapping it with the melty hand.
Well, I guess it's Ejaculate or Die, right?
Ooh, that's true.
Because masturbating is whatever, but it has to actually pay off or else you die. Isn't that the idea? Because he's under, he has to watch this horrible stuff, and if he doesn't get off, they kill him.
Yeah.
That's evil.
Yeah.
That's pure evil.
Yeah. Japan, folks.
Whee!
I've recently been learning about Japan and it's pre-World War II history, and oh god.
Land of the Rising, oh my god.
Oh my god. I used to say, oh man, Italy was terrible, and it's like, oh no.
Italy is quaint and pastoral in comparison.
Yeah, just god.
Yeah.
Cinema.
Yeah.
Is that why the butler was here? They're like, well, we have to at least nod towards this.
And make a nod towards Asian transgression.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's come to the theater. It's a Mr. Berenger.
And I feel like I feel like him stabbing himself in the eyes was like a Harry Carey thing, but like horror movie, and it's just not really right there.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, Feng would be probably a Chinese name.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be I guess a Chinese letter opener,
or at least depending on how you spell it. I worked with a guy named Feng, but he was Vietnamese. So,
yeah. There you have it.
Yeah, welcome to America.
Wow, man,
land of opportunity.
We said a lot of weird things today.
Thanks for tuning into our final episode.
Just before cancellation.
It's okay. We're not going to lose our funding or anything.
Yeah, our backers.
Well, we might. We got the one backer.
Yeah.
No more Star Wars ads for us. Wait, I mean, Star Trek.
Doctor Who's my favorite Battlestar.
Oh my god.
I like that this is the episode where we got as many things as possible wrong. St. Tropez, folks. Visit beautiful St. Tropez.
Oh my god, St. Tropez. Oh,
I'm so cultured.
oof.
So
Yeah.
that is a combined 5 out of 10 loathsome things, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that means you should see it, but if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah, it'll be okay. I haven't seen any of the other episodes / movies from this series, but I think I'm gonna.
They run the gamut for sure. Some of them are pretty good. Most of them aren't great, but they're most of them are at least watchable.
Yeah. If you ever used to like at the end times go and like peruse the fucking DVDs at Hollywood Video, you'll probably recognize the cover of these, like the frame around and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, or as I call it, the John Leguizamo department.
Yes. That makes sense.
Fucking idiot. It was in everything.
He really was. Spawn, that masterpiece.
Wow.
Do you have more things you would like to say about this movie, John?
I can't think of anything. I think we've beaten this one into the ground.
John, what is your third most favorite John Carpenter movie?
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween is my favorite. I can't help it. And then after that, man, I really like Prince of Darkness. It's so good. I don't know if that would be second or third. And then my third favorite, let me see, what would be the third one?
I'm pulling up a list now. I'm cheating.
Oh God, yeah. I'm gonna go with The Thing second.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna go with Prince of Darkness for third because I fucking love that movie so much.
Oh, yeah.
Those could all be after number 2. Those could change out at any given moment, but 1 and 2 are pretty firm for me.
Number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty
number
firm
2 is.
number 2.
I got a pretty firm number 2. How about you?
I have no idea. I asked the question, but I wasn't ready to answer it. I'm going to go ahead and say They Live is probably my third favorite John Carpenter movie, with no idea of what number 2 is because number 1 is The Thing.
Yeah. It's hard because some of them are just so. I mean, Christine was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like The Fog, even though it's probably not one of his best movies, but I still like it a lot.
Christine, fun fact, the only time John Carpenter directed a Stephen King adaptation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I mean, it's, again, it's not my favorite, but I really enjoy it. His later stuff I don't like a lot. That one with Amber Heard is fucking terrible. And then The Ghosts of Mars is like, what? Dude, what is this, like Marilyn Manson demon on Mars?
Yeah, that one was pretty bad.
That vampires movie that he did, not great. He did Village of the Damned, right? That was pretty good.
I think so. God, it's hard. He's done a lot of movies. Jesus Christ.
Village of the Damned was really good. His first movie's good too, Dark Star, the comedy that he made.
Yeah, I just recently watched that for the first time this year.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Let's see. He's only directed 32 movies. I say that because I'm an asshole. Only 32 movies, folks.
Oh, Precinct 13. That was great too.
Oh, yeah. Assault on Precinct 13. Yeah. Escape from New York. Yeah.
Of course.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, Big Trouble in Little China.
China.
Oh my God, I love that movie so much.
I don't know. Vampires, Ghosts of Mars. Yikes. Oh, he did
Yeah,
another Masters of Horror?
Oh, for the second season, I guess.
I
Yeah,
guess
he did.
so.
What was it called? That one's
looking.
real bad, if I remember correctly.
God.
Of course, we have to do it now.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. Like, They Live is kind of like this movie we just watched is kind of reminiscent of it in its like crazy, ridiculous way of over the top symbolizing things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's good at that.
Yeah. Also, folks, go out there and watch The Pervert's Guide to Ideology. It's a Slavoj Žižek
Okay, right.
movie where he uses famous scenes from movies to talk about how ideology is in the way of everything. And he has a whole thing about that crazy fight between Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The endless fight.
Yeah, it's like 9 minutes long, and it's just them punching the shit out of each other so that one guy doesn't have to wear sunglasses.
It's such a wonderful moment in cinema history.
It is top notch. John Carpenter is an amazing man.
I do love him so.
Cody Carpenter is an adequate composer. I guess.
I'm assuming that was one of his kids that toured with him when he was touring, with the soundtrack music. And he had a band behind him, essentially, and like at least a couple of them were his kids, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I have no idea.
This is something I'm still kicking myself for not seeing, where they would show, clips from the, like scenes from the movies, and then they would play the music live that corresponded to those movies.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, apparently it was really, really cool.
Did they call it The Carpenters?
They should have, but no, I don't think so.
Damn it.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Cody Carpenter is the son of John Carpenter and Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead, and now that you've listened to us talk about this and so many other things, go ahead and leave us a rating and review so that other people can find us and listen to us talk about this movie and all the other things that we felt like talking about, like Stephen King books or
Mick Garris.
Yeah, Mick Garris and his hair. You can probably rate and review us on whatever it is that you're listening to us on, but if not, you could go to iTunes/Apple Podcasts and rate us over there and help other people find our podcast. You can also suggest unto us a movie for us to watch and review on an episode, or otherwise talk to us about things. But you can do that by reaching out to us on Twitter and Instagram at Loathsome Pod, or on Facebook at Loathsome Things.
Get with it. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I was like, is that what we're gonna go out on?
I don't know. I couldn't think of anything else.
I mean, the spirit filled you.
Yeah, get with the program, y'all.
Let's try some other ones. Let's keep it going. Mostly Sunny.
Cocoa Nuts.
150% of your daily recommended value.
Oh, yeah.
All right, folks, go watch horror movies.
Bye.